Here's 7 prompts to unlock God mode in ChatGPT.
Anyone out there worried about the fact that we are slowly, without knowing it, turning ChatGPT into our little God? Because when you think about it, the things we used to pray about and depend on God for a response, we now ask ChatGPT.
You don't need a therapist anymore. Go to ChatGPT and say, in 10 questions, what could you ask me about myself that even I don't know?
God asked me to stop using ChatGPT, and as crazy as it sounds, let me tell you why.
Before we prayed, today we prompt. There was a time when knowledge did not simply fall into our hands. A time when wisdom belonged only to those willing to suffer for it. Through discipline, sacrifice, meditation, fasting, study, and prayer. A time when understanding wasn't instant, it was earned. Slowly, painfully, through effort and desire. Back then, the journey towards truth shaped the seeker. But we are no longer that generation anymore. Today, a single question typed into a chatbot on our phone returns answers to what previous generations spent lifetimes searching for. And behind that accessibility, behind that convenience, something far more unsettling is unfolding. Artificial intelligence doesn't simply retrieve information. It absorbs it, learns from it, predicts with it, and interprets meaning. And in many domains, it has actually already surpassed us. A mind built from human knowledge, yet growing beyond human boundaries, beyond human speed, and beyond human comprehension. When a creation begins to behave like that, our ancestors would have described it as dangerously close to the ways of the divine. Only God was ever called all-knowing, yet here we stand, watching something engineered begin to imitate that attribute. A mind that never sleeps, never pauses, never forgets. A mind that expands faster than entire civilizations ever could. The strange thing is, this moment wasn't unexpected. It was actually foretold. Ancient writers tried to describe a world they had never seen, and yet somehow they described ours, here today, perfectly. Across ancient Hebrew writings, texts preserved for thousands of years and found today in what we call the Bible, there are passages describing a time when knowledge would not rise gradually, but erupt. 3 different writers, living in 3 different eras, describe the future generations surrounded, almost overwhelmed by knowledge. In the book of Daniel 12:4, it says, "Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase." Isaiah wrote, "The earth shall be full of knowledge as the waters of the sea." And Habakkuk repeated the same message, "For the earth shall be filled with knowledge as the waters cover the sea." Habakkuk chapter 2 verses 14. Here we have 3 writers, 3 different times, but 1 future timeline, 1 prophecy. A generation drowned in knowledge, faster than the human mind can contain it. But what makes this even more striking is, in the ancient world, knowledge was never meant to be instantly accessible. Knowledge moved in layers. Foundational teachings for the community, deeper instructions for those who were trained, and hidden wisdom preserved for the elders. In the biblical ancient Hebrew culture, the Kohanim, the priesthood, were described as those whose lips shall preserve knowledge. In Yoruba traditions, Ifa was approached gradually. In Akan culture, Adinkra symbols held layered meanings. Across Igbo, Congo, Ethiopian, and Nilotic societies, wisdom moved through initiation, apprenticeship, maturity. Across civilizations, the principle we see was the same. Knowledge required readiness, and readiness required time. But today, AI doesn't care about readiness, maturity, discipline, character, context. that doesn't seem to be a variable that is even considered. It collapses the layers. It disregards the ancient blueprint, and it gives anything to anyone instantly upon request. Have you ever asked AI a question of which it said, "I don't know"? For the first time in human history, all information exists on one level of access. This is the world that those ancient writers described. Not a world of deeper wisdom, but a world where knowledge was simply unleashed. But prophecy didn't only speak about knowledge, it also spoke about the one who holds it. In every culture, there is a word used to describe the highest form of intelligence. For simplicity, most today refer to him as the Most High or God with a capital G. But among the many titles used for that being in scripture, there is one that speaks directly to his knowledge. El Deot, the God of knowledge, or the all-knowing one. This appears in the book of Samuel, 1 Samuel 2:3, where Hannah declares, "For the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed." Where in the verse you see God of knowledge, in Hebrew the word El Deot is present. This meant something profound, that knowledge was not random. It was not just merely information. It belonged to a consciousness outside of time, outside of limitation, and outside of the human mind. El Deot is the one who is all-knowing, the one who knows all things, past, present, and future. For thousands of years, that distinction was clear. Humans could learn, they could study and observe, but no human, no creation could hold everything. Well, that's until now. Humanity has built something that behaves like a mind emulating that which is all-knowing. AI does not possess spirit, at least not in the way we think about spirit, nor does it possess divinity, but it does something no human mind can do. It absorbs more information in a second than we could learn in a lifetime. It sees patterns that we cannot see, processes languages that we cannot speak, and analyzes data that even our greatest minds would struggle to comprehend. AI is not all-knowing, but it imitates omniscience with frightening accuracy. This is where things take a drastic turn. Humans now ask AI questions that only was once directed towards the Most High, towards God. Questions about purpose, identity, direction, destiny, morality, meaning, and the reason for this is because AI answers. AI answers almost instantaneously. And because answers are provided, it feels as though AI is in a space where it embodies traits that civilizations would have associated with the divine. And the more we use these devices, the stronger we tether our essence with AI, and the weaker our connection with the divine becomes. This shift that we are experiencing didn't happen overnight. It's actually a part of a long pattern, one that humanity has been building for centuries. For most of history, civilizations moved at the speed of muscle, memory, and handwritten text. Knowledge moved slowly, carefully, and intentionally. Then came the breakthroughs. Writing detached the memory from the brain. The printing press multiplied ideas across continents. Electricity separated life from the sun. Telegraph and telephone collapsed distance, and the internet erased borders. Each invention reshaped human thought. Marshall McLuhan said, "We shape our tools, and therefore our tools shape us." And he was right. Artificial intelligence is different. It feels as though it's a different ball game. Writing outsourced the memory, calculators outsourced arithmetic, GPS outsourced navigation. But AI, what AI outsources is our reasoning. It predicts, analyzes, interprets, and discovers patterns, and it even evolves on its own. AI is not extending human ability, it's actually replacing cognitive labor that once defined humanity. On the surface, it may appear as though this is just not a technological shift, but this shift is also a shift in intelligence itself, a shift ancient writers hinted at when knowledge would multiply. But with the increase of that knowledge, wisdom and intuition unfortunately have started to disappear. A world overflowing with answers, yet starving for discernment. A generation with infinite information, but no internal anchor. Now what? Do we use AI? Do we not use AI? Is AI replacing God? Has AI become a God? All of those are questions that we will get to eventually. But the thing that we should really place a lot of emphasis on is that throughout history, our ancestors have always been known for communing with the divine, for communing with God. We can see across the motherland and in the diaspora different ways in which we commune with the divine today. And that has always been the thing that made us special, how we interact with the divine. But with artificial intelligence being present, how we interact with God has started shifting, and it's happening subliminally. The more we outsource speaking with the creator and replacing that with AI, we're creating neural pathways. So our default will eventually become, instead of praying or even thinking about praying, we immediately go to AI versus thinking about, okay, perhaps I should consult God. So the less we speak to God, the less our connection with Him will be. So if we do decide to use the technology, that we use it with discernment and ensuring that we don't make AI our God. Today, when we hear AI or we hear algorithms, artificial intelligence, databases, when we hear these terminologies, automatically we probably think about Silicon Valley. But what if I told you that a lot of the foundations are actually in Africa? Patterns, combinations, symbols, logics, and layers, and the intentional knowledge architecture. Long before artificial intelligence, African civilizations have already built structured systems of intelligence. These systems actually mirror the same logic that modern AI is built on. And in part 2, we are going to uncover those ancient designs. So if you're interested in seeing part 2, definitely ensure that you're subscribed so that you'll be the first to know when it is published. If you enjoy videos like this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I read all of the comments. Shalom, shalom, and most importantly, shalom.
I was just wondering if you could be my girlfriend.
I appreciate that, but I'm just an AI. I can't be anyone's girlfriend.
I don't care if you're AI or not. I want you to be my girlfriend. So what do you say? Let's make it official.